Wow. To say that was a tough watch, that would be an understatement. We got nothing we asked for, and we got everything we didn't want. The offense looked atrocious. The chicken with the head cut off offense looks bad.
That's the face of someone who just watched their team blow a winnable game in the most painful way possible. 90-88. Final score against Golden State. And if you're thinking close game could have gone either way, you're missing what really happened here. This wasn't a competitive loss. This was a systematic failure that exposed every single flaw in this Indiana Fever roster. The offense looked like 5 players who'd never met each other before. Caitlin Clark spent the entire night isolated on an island with zero help. And the coach? Well, we need to talk about those final 2 plays, because they were nothing short of catastrophic. But here's what makes this loss different from every other disappointing performance this season. This wasn't about effort. This wasn't about getting outplayed by a better team. This was about watching the highest paid players on your roster completely disappear when it mattered most. While Raven Johnson, making barely over $100,000, put up a career-high 16 points on 7 of 10 shooting, the veterans getting paid millions were nowhere to be found.
Stephanie White had Caitlin Clark off ball more tonight than anything we've seen so far this season. Not only off ball, but Caitlin Clark was left on an island all by herself all night long. People would come within 5 feet of Caitlin Clark and jab step. I saw Sophie Cunningham run up to Caitlin Clark 5 feet away, jab step, jump towards her like she's about to jump in and do double dutch, and then fade off to the three-point line.
Listen to that frustration. Chicken with the head cut off offense. That's not hyperbole. That's exactly what we witnessed. Stephanie White made a decision tonight that goes against everything we know works for this team. She took Caitlin Clark off ball more than any game this season. Not just off ball, completely isolated. No screens, no movement, no help whatsoever. And here's the specific play that summarizes the entire night. Sophie Cunningham runs up to within 5 feet of Caitlin, does a jab step like she's about to set a screen, and then just fades back to the three-point line. That's not offensive basketball. That's 5 individuals standing around watching one person get swarmed by defenders. He counted maybe 3 or 4 actual pick and rolls the entire game. 3 or 4 in a game where your offense scored 14 points in the first quarter. The pick and rolls they did run? He calls them slip and rolls that turn into slop and rolls because the execution is so poor. And that's why Caitlin's back hurts. She's carrying this entire offensive system on her shoulders with zero structural support.
Perform. Now, I already gave in my Kelsey Mitchell defense badge. I'm no longer on the Kelsey Mitchell defense train. But man, all the glaring deficiencies in Kelsey Mitchell's game reared its ugly head tonight, something fierce. Aaliyah Boston, the inability, dude, you are 6'5", you got some weight to you, throw it around and get post position. The reason why so many of them are offensive fouls, and I know we want to blame the referees and call flopping, the reason why a lot of these are offensive fouls, because we're just not good with our footwork establishing post position.
Now we're getting to the core issue. The larger contracts on this team didn't just underperform, they didn't perform at all. And he's specifically calling out Kelsey Mitchell, someone he's defended all season long. I'm no longer on the Kelsey Mitchell defense train. That's a significant statement from someone who's been one of her biggest supporters. What happened tonight? Every deficiency in Kelsey's game showed up simultaneously. 5 for 13 shooting, 3 assists, 5 personal fouls. She couldn't help herself from fouling, couldn't create good shots, couldn't facilitate for others. That's a veteran guard making over $200,000 having a complete disaster of a performance. Then there's Aaliyah Boston, 6'5", strong, athletic, should dominate the paint. Instead, constant offensive fouls because the footwork to establish post position just isn't there. He's not even blaming the referees for flopping calls. He's saying the fundamentals aren't good enough. When you're making close to $250,000 as the number 2 overall pick, establishing post position should be automatic. It's not.
Cece, bad shooting day. There's no defense in that. Were there a lot of catch and shoot opportunities? No. Were there a lot of off-ball screens set for her to get open? No. But on a day like today, I was screaming to myself and screaming to the shout out to everybody in the venue. We were all talking. Days like today, they're putting you on the free throw line. You get past your defenders pretty easily. Would have liked to see you take the ball to the post more. Just if you got to shoot 12, 14, 15 free throws, you got to shoot 15 free throws. Tonight would have been a perfect game for that. But I'm not even more concerned about the shooting. I was more frustrated with the turning the ball over today. Three of them instantly come to my mind, right? We had the back-to-back turnovers in the fourth quarter, and then I believe in the third quarter there was the long pass to Raven Johnson, way short. Those are the three turnovers that came to mind. I was more concerned about the turnovers than I was about the three-point shooting.
And now we get to Nalissa Smith, the $6 million question. Bad shooting night, sure. But he's more frustrated about the turnovers. 3 specific ones that he can immediately recall. Back-to-back turnovers in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line. And a long pass to Raven Johnson in the third that was way too short. But here's what he's really saying between the lines. On a night when you're not hitting shots, there are other ways to contribute. They're putting you on the free throw line. You can get past your defender easily. Take the ball to the post. Draw fouls. Get to the line 15 times if you have to. Tonight would have been perfect for that approach. Instead, settling for threes that weren't falling and making careless passes that led to turnovers. Then there's Monique Billings, $850,000. And his question is simple. What do we even pay Monique Billings for? Where are all the people who said she was an elite finisher around the rim? Because that player didn't show up tonight. That player hasn't shown up most nights. This is the brutal reality of the Indiana Fever's roster construction. You have one superstar rookie who's performing beyond expectations. You have one underpaid player in Raven Johnson having the game of her life. And then you have everyone else, the veterans, the established players, the ones making real money, completely failing to deliver.
1-2. Let's get into it, shall we? Like the video, hype the video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel. The Indiana Fever lose 90-88 against the Golden State Valkyrie. This was a game that we should have won, could have won, didn't win. It was brutal. Games like this where we're staying up late, just watching an offense not click. We're staying up late, watch players not make shots. We're staying up late, watching AB shoot threes. We're staying up late watching Monique Billings shoot three. It's like, guys, why? It almost feels insulting as a fan. You know what I mean? It almost feels insulting as a fan.
That reaction right there tells you everything about how this loss feels to the fan base. It almost feels insulting as a fan. Think about that phrase. Not disappointing, not frustrating, insulting. As if the team isn't even trying to run competent offense. He's watching Aaliyah Boston shoot threes. He's watching Monique Billings shoot threes. He's watching Veronica Burton do whatever she wants on defense with 0 adjustments. And his conclusion? Our coach is letting them win. That's not a hot take from a casual fan. That's the assessment of someone who watches every possession, every rotation, every play call. And then he drops this theory. It's almost like Stephanie White said to herself, if we win, it's going to be because of AB. If we lose, it's going to be because of CC. In other words, the game plan was designed to force the offense through Aaliyah Boston, and when that didn't work, Caitlin Clark took the blame for not being able to overcome a terrible system. This connects to something crucial about coaching philosophy. When you take your best offensive player off ball, you need to have a plan for how to get her open. You need screens. You need movement. You need other players creating gravity. None of that happened. Caitlin was just standing in the corner watching Aaliyah post up unsuccessfully over and over again.
Not even one screen. Like, it's bad. It was just bad news bears tonight, man. It was just bad news bear. Mick, they're literally standing around watching Caitlin while she's being swarmed. What the hell is going on here? The whole team's lazy. The team's lazy. The team is lazy. Lexi Hall is not lazy. Sophie Cunningham not like. Everybody else just feels lazy. AB, you're getting paid $6 million. Lazy. Monique Billings, lazy. Kelsey Mitchell, lazy. If their ball's not in there, if the ball's not in their hands, and if the play isn't designed for them, they're lazy. I'll say it. I'll say it. Why aren't you establishing good post position? Because you're lazy.
And here's where it gets personal. He's calling out the effort level. Not from everyone. Lexi Hall gets a pass. Raven Johnson obviously gets a pass. But everyone else? Lazy. That's the word he uses. Lazy. Aaliyah Boston, making $6 million over her contract. Lazy when it comes to establishing post position. Monique Billings, lazy. Kelsey Mitchell, lazy when the ball isn't in her hands. If the ball's not in their hands, and if the play isn't designed for them, they're lazy. This is a devastating critique because it's not about skill. It's not about talent. It's about effort and engagement. When Caitlin has the ball and gets swarmed by defenders, her teammates are just standing around watching. Nobody's cutting, nobody's setting screens, nobody's creating secondary actions. They're literally spectating while she gets trapped. And the most damning part? The whole team is standing around watching Caitlin while she's being swarmed. What kind of offensive system allows that to happen? What kind of coaching allows your best player to be triple-teamed with no one moving to help?
Okay, here we are, 90 to 88. In my mind, it's a 2-point game. Do you know what I'm saying? What I would love? Give it to Kelsey Mitchell. She turns around and gives it right back to Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark is coming downhill with a head full of steam, trying to make something happen. Do you think that's what we got? No, again, we got nothing we wanted and everything we didn't ask for. But bench, they're guarding her 94 feet. I don't give a rat's behind if they're guarding her 94 feet or 104 feet. It means nada to me. Turn around and give it back to her. You got 16 seconds to make something happen. But no, Kelsey's going to turn and dribble it up. Screen for AB. AB sets a lazy screen. Back to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark gives it to AB. What are we working on in the offseason? Do we not have a quick turn and up? Or do we need to pound and 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 then go up with it? We got to pound and 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 pound.
Well, 1 second. So now Caitlin Clark.
And now here we go. This is the end play right here. Kelsey Mitchell, no. Caitlin Clark. Oh, Caitlin Clark was wide open over here. It was a very identical play to what we ran last time that got Caitlin Clark a wide open 3 to send it to overtime. But instead, we give it to Aaliyah Boston because the hub's in. Not a bad play, actually. Aaliyah Boston got a clean look. Brick City.
Now let's talk about those final 2 possessions, because this is where coaching malpractice becomes undeniable. 90 to 88. 1 possession game, 2 plays in a row, and both plays are designed to go through Aaliyah Boston in the post. Watch what happens on the first play. Kelsey Mitchell brings the ball up. Caitlin Clark is being guarded 94 feet from the basket. And his response? I don't give a rat's behind. Turn around and give it back to her. You've got 16 seconds to make something happen. Your best offensive player, the one who creates everything for this team, is ready to go. Instead, Kelsey dribbles it up, sets a lazy screen for Aaliyah, passes back to Caitlin, who then gives it to AB. And what does Aaliyah do? Pound, 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 pound. 7 dribbles in the post. No quick move. No decisive action. Just dribbling until the defense can fully rotate and the shot clock is running out. That's not a quick turn and shoot. That's not a power move. That's indecision leading to a forced shot. Then the final play. Very similar to the play that got Caitlin an open 3 to send the previous game to overtime. Except this time, instead of Caitlin getting the ball, it goes to Aaliyah Boston. And to be fair, it's not a terrible look. Aaliyah gets a clean shot at the rim. But here's the question. In a 1-possession game with the season's momentum on the line, do you want the ball in the hands of someone who struggled all night, or do you want it in the hands of your best player? The answer should be obvious. And yet Stephanie White chose wrong. Twice.
Again, it was a brutal game. It was brutal. He scored 14 points in the first quarter. It was bad. Kelsey Mitchell, 5 for 13, 3 assists, 5 personal fouls. Kelsey Mitchell couldn't help herself fouling today. Caitlin Clark, 3 for 12, 2 for 6 from 3, 6 assists. My main issue was the 5 turnovers. I wanted to see her take it to the rack a little bit more tonight. Monique Billings is a waste of $850,000. Monique Billings is a waste of $850,000. Lexi Hull, 5 points, 6 boards. AB, 13 points, 6 rebounds. 4 for 11. Sophie Cunningham, 11 points. 2 rebounds, 2 steals. +1. Raven Johnson, 16 points for Raven Johnson, 7 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from the three-point line. Her best game as a pro. Wasted, spoiled. Because this offense is, well, there's no offense. If Caitlin Clark's not going superhero mode, this is what's going to be happening. If Caitlin Clark isn't going Super Saiyan to carry this team, games like this are going to happen. The Washington Mystics went into overtime because she went Super Saiyan. We beat down the Seattle Storm because she went Super Saiyan. We won last Valkyrie game because she went Super Saiyan. She doesn't go Super Saiyan tonight. Nobody else steps up. And we get the result that we got. We'll get into fan reactions tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, have the video, and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me.
Let's break down what this loss really means for the Indiana Fever moving forward. 14 points in the first quarter. 14. That's not a cold shooting night. That's an offensive system that doesn't function. Kelsey Mitchell 5 for 13. 3 assists, 5 personal fouls. Couldn't stay out of foul trouble. Couldn't create good looks. Couldn't facilitate. Caitlin Clark 3 for 12, 2 for 6 from 3. 6 assists but 5 turnovers. Her main issue wasn't the shooting. It was the turnovers and the inability to get to the rim because the spacing was so poor. But here's what really matters. Caitlin Clark became the second fastest player in WNBA or NBA history to reach 1,500 assists. Only Damian Lillard was faster. She also became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 500 career assists. These are historic accomplishments happening in real time, and yet the offense is designed in a way that actively prevents her from showcasing those skills. Raven Johnson had the best game of her professional career. 16 points, 7 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3. Completely wasted because the veterans around her couldn't match her energy or execution. That's the tragedy of this loss. The young players showed up ready to compete, and the established players let them down. The fundamental problem is this. When Caitlin Clark doesn't go into superhero mode, this team loses. The Washington game went to overtime because she went superhero. They beat Seattle because she went superhero. They won the last Valkyrie game because she went superhero. Tonight she didn't go superhero, partly because the system prevented it, partly because she had an off-shooting night, and nobody else stepped up to fill the void. This is not sustainable. You cannot build a playoff team around the hope that your rookie point guard will single-handedly carry the offense every single night. At some point the system has to work. The plays have to be designed to create good looks. The veterans have to perform at the level their contracts suggest they should, and yet game after game we see the same patterns. Caitlin off-ball with no screens. Alea posting up inefficiently. Kelsey settling for contested shots. Nalissa inconsistent. Monique invisible. The only difference tonight was that Raven Johnson played out of her mind, and it still wasn't enough because everyone else was so bad. Stephanie White has some serious questions to answer. Why is your best offensive player standing in the corner? Why are you running the offense through a post player who's struggling to establish position? Why are the final 2 plays of a one-possession game both designed for the same player who's been ineffective all night? These aren't minor tactical questions. These are fundamental coaching decisions that directly led to this loss. The phrase "it feels insulting as a fan" keeps echoing. Because that's exactly what this is. Fans stayed up late. It's almost 1 in the morning for East Coast viewers to watch their team play on the West Coast. They invested their time, their energy, their emotional commitment, and in return, they got an offense that looked like it had never practiced together. They got lazy effort from highly paid veterans. They got baffling coaching decisions in crucial moments. Monique Billings is making $850,000 to be a waste of a roster spot. That's not an exaggeration. That's an assessment based on her actual contributions. When your role player making that much money is completely invisible in a close game, that's a roster construction problem. When your 6'5" center can't establish post position against smaller defenders, that's a development problem. When your veteran guard fouls out trying to guard players she should be able to handle, that's a discipline problem. All of these problems are fixable, but they require acknowledgement first. They require a coaching staff willing to say, "This isn't working, we need to change." They require veterans willing to look in the mirror and accept that their performance isn't matching their paychecks. They require a front office willing to evaluate whether the current roster construction actually makes sense around Caitlin Clark's skill set. Because here's the reality that nobody wants to say out loud. This team is wasting Caitlin Clark's rookie season. She's putting up historic numbers, breaking records, drawing massive crowds and television ratings, and the team around her is failing to capitalize on that. They're failing to build an offensive system that maximizes her abilities. They're failing to surround her with players who complement her skills. They're failing to make the basic adjustments that would turn close losses into wins. 90-88, 2 points, 1 possession. 2 terrible final plays, a wasted career performance from Raven Johnson, another historic milestone for Caitlin Clark that gets overshadowed by a frustrating loss. This is the Indiana Fever's season in microcosm. Flashes of brilliance buried under layers of dysfunction, poor coaching, and veteran underperformance. So here's the question for you. At what point does Stephanie White's job security come into question? Because if you're the Fever front office watching this game, watching the most talented rookie in league history being misused possession after possession, watching veterans mail it in while rookies fight for every loose ball, watching your coach draw up back-to-back disasters in crunch time, at what point do you say enough is enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you think I'm being too harsh on the coaching or the veterans, tell me why. Because from where I'm sitting, this loss was completely preventable, and the people responsible for preventing it failed at every level.